Howdy, yokes, and welcome back to Bacon and Eggs. I'm Tyler Carlin.
And I'm Ethan Hitchhill.
And today we're finding ourselves.
Or maybe we're just going to a diner.
So call your mother.
And learn to swim.
Because today we're bringing you
Moonlight.
Ethan, Moonlight was released on October 21st, 2016, just 970 days ago, on a tiny $1.5 million budget. It made $65.2 million worldwide. It got a 98% critic rating and a 79% audience rating on Rotten Tomatoes and a 99 on Metacritic.
Yeah, 99 on Metacritic.
By a wide margin, the best Metacritic reviewed film we've done.
I believe so, yeah.
All of those scores, it also won at least 2 Oscars, one for Best Supporting Actor for Mahershala Ali, and one for Best Film.
It won 3, yeah, it won Best Picture and Best Supporting Actor. I can't remember what else, but it won 3 of the 8 it was nominated for.
It's also really, really good. In fact, I have a positive review. Finding a negative review, I'm sure is challenging. You probably dipped into the fan reviews for that.
We'll talk about it.
Okay. I have a positive review from Elena Lazik from Little White Lies. This is the top positive review. It says, Jenkins' authorial voice is resounding and strong, and his determination admirable. But I mean, all of these are just glowing. This isn't just like what did we say it was a 98%? It's not like a 98% where every critic gave it a 7. This is a 98% where every critic gave it a 5 out of 5.
Yeah, that is absolutely correct. Hang on, I'm doing some math here real quick. 354. I can't do math for some reason. I'm trying to remember how to do percentages. It's been a long time. So I read 7 negative reviews of this, which is all of them on Rotten Tomatoes, and I refused flat out to read any of them. I'm not even going to go to fan reviews because I don't even want to think about where that's going to get me. So out of the 7, 2 of them were written by reviewers from Spanish language newspapers who basically were just like, yeah, a lot of this does not translate at all. Like, not even just literally doesn't translate. It's like it doesn't sort of make sense outside of America, especially in a different language. And the other 5 were just blatantly racist or homophobic reviews.
Okay.
It was. I'm not even gonna dignify what these people said by reading them out loud. It's just it's not like it's not getting us anywhere. So
all right, that's fine with me.
It was an incredibly frustrating experience trying to find a negative review of this movie because I had to pick through 36 pages of positive ones. Like, this is 98% out of 354.
Here's what I'll say, Ethan. Let's get to a quick binary. Binary review on this film is a 1. I think if you have not seen it, you should see it.
Absolutely.
I think it is a wild experience, and I don't know that it is necessarily going to be a pleasant experience, but it is a necessary experience.
Yeah, and we talk a lot about, on this show, and this is definitely going to be different for us, we talk a lot about movies that may not always be good, but are usually fun. This is a movie that is good, but it's not fun. Like,
right.
You're not gonna laugh.
This is on the opposite end of the quality spectrum of, like, Detective Pikachu or Bumblebee.
Right, it's like Bumblebee got its 98% because, like, nobody could really find, like, a major problem with it, or whatever score it got. It was like,
right.
It was like, a lot of people gave it, like, 6.5. Like, yeah, this was cool, guys. You did a thing there.
You breathed life back into this.
This, on
the other hand, is absolutely no fun at all.
No fun. Zero fun, sir.
Yeah, but it's shot beautifully.
This so rarely have we delved into this sort of movie on our show so far. This sort of, like, there's no supernatural element present whatsoever, whether it be superheroes or some sort of power outside of the norm. There's just it is normal people living everyday life.
Right. There aren't even emails back and forth from a guy named Blue.
I don't think anybody even has, like, a phone.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. Sharon has a phone. He calls his mom. And then he gets a call from Andre, or from adult
right
Kevin.
At the end, yeah. It is about...
This movie doesn't even have dialogue. Like, there's words, right? But, like, only when absolutely necessary do the characters say anything to each other.
This could be a silent movie, yeah. Like, you could achieve the same deal.
I think if you took if you left the movements of their mouth in, but you took the dialogue tracks out, and you left, like, the music in, this would still be a beautiful film, and I think you'd get the whole thing out of it.
There's even one specific scene in the movie where the dialogue is removed from a scene where we're looking directly down a hallway at a person speaking.
Yo, what a horrifying scene.
But no, there's I wouldn't necessarily call this a horror movie by any means, but there are definitely like what users on IMDb would refer to as frightening scenes.
Yeah, there were a lot of scenes. There's like an old phrase about like you don't put a smoking gun in the scene if you're not gonna use it or whatever. What's the phrase?
I don't know the exact phrase. I know what you're talking about though.
But you know what I'm talking about? There are multiple scenes where like Mahershala Ali's character is like, don't ever put your back to the door. That's how you get robbed or shot. And then later on in the movie, you see Sharon like carrying a gun.
Yeah.
And I was anxious the whole time for somebody to be shot and killed. Like that tension was always there for me.
Right, and nobody gets shot or killed.
Right.
Not on screen at least.
Right. There's no storyline to it, to the gun.
No. But it is there for like
it creates
it's
the
there
tension.
for exposition more than action.
Right. Sharon has gone from like this quiet, peaceful boy who runs away to someone who will stand and defend himself.
Right. He's grown into the only father figure he had.
With
Juan. With Mahershala Ali. Mahershala Ali.
Let me tell you right now.
What?
That was not a deserved Oscar.
It was a very, very good performance from old Mahershala.
Yeah,
Love that guy.
I mean,
one of the most, I guess he's not underrated. He's got 2 supporting actor wins now. But like, I feel like he's one of those actors that's like getting away with something and nobody's talking about it. Like, dude's very good. But he was in the movie for like, I don't know, 20 minutes.
Yeah, he does. Here's the thing. He's got the teach me how to swim scene.
He's in the most important scenes in the movie, some of them.
Well, he's in, I would say, the one most important scene. He's got a couple of good scenes.
He also names the movie.
He's not, he does name the movie. But he's in it for no time at all.
So I can sort of parse, I think, how this ended up happening.
Well, there's no other supporting actors.
It was not a good year for the best supporting actor category.
There's no Joker.
Yeah, it's like a lot of because you sort of see movies all year, you hear about them, and you're like, those are movies you're not going to get rid of during Oscar season. And like none of those movies, except for this one and a couple others, really had like a supporting actor that mattered.
Right, like Hidden Figures was about 3 women.
Right. So just look at the best picture nominees, which were this, Arrival, the whatever her name is, Amy Adams, I think it was, movie about alien first contact.
Oh, that movie was supposed to be sweet. Was it good? Did you see it?
It was pretty good. It's not for everybody. It's very it's slow. It's very
So is this.
It's very good, but it doesn't like it takes a long time to sort of get anywhere. And a lot of people didn't praise it for that. But like Jeremy Renner would have been the person getting the supporting actor nomination for that, and he was just garbo. Like he could have done so much better. And then you have Fences, which is about a man and a woman, Denzel Washington and somebody else, I can't remember who at this point. Hacksaw Ridge, which is a war movie, so like you're talking like full ensemble cast.
Right.
Hell or High Water, which I've literally never heard of. Hidden Figures, which is about a group of women. La La Land, which is about two people. Yeah. Lion, which did get a supporting actor nomination from Dev Patel. And Manchester by the Sea, which got a supporting actor nomination for Lucas Hedges, whoever that is. And so the other nominees for this category were Jeff Bridges from Hell or High Water and Michael Shannon for Nocturnal Animals.
I've never heard of Nocturnal Animals.
I've never heard of Hell or High Water or Lion. I had heard of Moonlight.
I remember
because this is the movie that had the Steve Harvey thing, the Steve Harvey moment.
Yeah,
this is the one that got they announced that La La Land had won Best Picture, and they were like, wait a minute, no, it didn't.
No, it didn't. It was Moonlight. Did you see the SNL sketch where they're interrogating the guy and they're like, I heard you said you didn't like La La Land.
I have not.
Oh my god, it's so funny. La La Land was the real deal.
That was a very good movie. Film. Very good movie.
Yeah.
And then that's the thing is like it took him a minute because like nobody would have been surprised if it won.
Right. Do I think Moonlight, like, does Moonlight winning make a better statement culturally in the long run than 2 white people play music and fall in love? Yes.
Yeah, and that cultural statement has since been just completely undone.
Yeah.
We did so well there for a minute.
And then Mahershala Ali ruined it again.
Yeah, we did so well there for a minute. Oscars, we nominated this and it won, and then the next picture was a movie about fish sex, and then the one after that was just that's problematic at best, and it was the worst rated Best Picture winner in like 30 years.
There was a lot of poorly rated stuff in the Oscars last year.
Yeah, but there were some real bangers nominated for Best Picture.
BlacKkKlansman was
so good. Yeah.
And unlike this, BlacKkKlansman was hilarious. Do you know what I didn't do for a second watching this movie?
Laugh.
Oh my god. This was like a monster truck rally. They sold me the whole seat, but I only needed the edge.
This is a tough movie to watch. It really is. It's I don't even.
Here's the thing. Here's my thing, Ethan. I want to talk about this real quick. I understand the critic praise. I genuinely get it. It's beautifully shot. If you studied film, this is like the kind of thing that you live for. But I cannot believe for a second that there wasn't one critic that was like, I mean, all these characters do is look sad in a mostly quiet movie for the entire thing. Like, I'm with the beautiful shots and I'm with the careful cinematography. But if you are not an educated film goer, I can totally understand you walking out of this movie and being like, that made no sense. And I
think that's reflected in the audience score. Yeah, there was a good deal of the audience that was just like, what?
I didn't get it.
Yeah, I didn't understand what just happened. And I think that, like, you know, when you start getting into these movies that a lot of people would refer to, and this is definitely one of them, a lot of people refer to as Oscar bait, you get into that sort of thing where, like, the critics get it. The critics seem to get it more than the general public.
Right. Now, I want to ask you, does that have a certain effect on the... Like, I'm with you that this should be viewed and appreciated by all people. But I know people who will never get this film. Do you think, like, what do you think is the solution there? Do you think we expand film education so that there's less blockbusters, so that people more understand these artistic expressions? Or do you feel like some people aren't going to get it and that's okay?
Both.
Or do you feel something different?
Well, like, if you look at a movie, like, when did The Poet Society come out? 89?
Yeah.
And that launched... I mean, it wasn't the only resulting factor, but that launched like an entire decade of like movies that looked and felt and played like that.
Right.
And we got away from that for a long time after the mid 90s, after the late 90s. Like, you look at the 2000s, like the early 2000s especially. If you look at some of the movies that made it, that were like huge blockbusters, like the movies that still get played that we still talk about, like there was a lawless wasteland. There were no rules in the early 2000s.
Right.
And so I think what you're seeing from movies like this, is sort of a return of storytelling over action, over, you know, loud and big.
I'll agree with that.
And I don't think that's a problem. I don't think everybody has to get it. But I think that we as people need to do a better job of trying to watch movies like this.
Oh, I agree. I think we should celebrate films like this. But I also feel like oftentimes critics who get it, films like this are reiterating a point that a critic would already know. And the point is lost on someone who wouldn't get it. And it just frustrates them further. Like, here's a big point that I've been thinking of. When you contrast this to the movie we covered last week with Vegard, Love, Simon, that was last week, right? When you contrast this with Love, Simon, to me, it's like being gay and white almost seems like a walk in the park, because Simon had a problem for like half of his senior year of his public high school, and he was never really concerned for like his health or anything. And really the worst case scenario was the last couple months of high school were going to be uncomfortable. But Sharon, being black and gay, suffered for like 40 years of his life and never once felt safe and ended up having to like deal drugs.
Right.
And he couldn't even finish school because he was bullied so hard that when he finally let loose and broke a chair over a kid's back, he was sent up to Georgia.
So here's the thing about him. Here's the difference between a movie like this and a movie like Love, Simon. Love, Simon is didactic. It's trying to teach you something.
Correct.
Like that movie wants you to come out at the end and have, if you didn't already know something, have learned something.
Right.
This movie doesn't give a fortnight whether or not you learn anything.
This movie is
standing there going, Love, Simon is a conversation. This is a lecture.
right. This is what it is, whether you want it to be or
Right.
not.
Like, this is not Socratic, I think.
We can find out. We can define those words.
Socrates did he was the questions and answers guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pius didn't kill. Pius is the only. Yeah.
Right. Like, this movie doesn't. This is Cicero.
I hate Cicero.
Cicero was the great like writer, the great orator, right?
Let's see.
You also hated Cicero because you like decided to study Latin.
Oh, I know. Yeah, he was the orator.
I think we should, this is a whole different thing, but I think we should just abolish Latin from the high school curriculum.
I agree. I don't understand why we have it.
I don't
know why we're using it. If Harry Potter taught me anything, it's that Latin spells were pointless because you could just reveal the map with, like, I solemnly swear that I'm up to no good, which is a spell, by the way, all of you who are like, what? How come Avada Kedavra is the only French one? There are a ton of spells in different languages other than Latin. I just want to bring that to your attention.
Because, like, I read a lot of, like, the quintessential Latin texts in, like, literature translation classes.
Exciting news about Cicero. I don't know if you knew this about Cicero. This is probably the most interesting detail. He was from a wealthy he came from a wealthy municipal family of the Roman equestrian order. So not only was he a great orator, but he could also ride a horse. So Cicero had no horses in no bag. Because that was kind of like a back burner thing. Would you agree? Cicero was an ugly dude. Ooh,
I've never
poor
seen
guy.
Cicero.
Well, there's a bust of him, which, by the way, that was an incredibly impressive process.
What?
The bust.
The bust process?
Yeah.
I haven't never done a bust, so I wouldn't know.
I have no idea how one is made. I would imagine they are chiseled. But this looks like they dipped his head in plaster and we're like, all right, sis, we're gonna dump marble in this, liquid marble, and make a U. I keep playing with this hammer and I keep tapping it against my knee, and I think I'm gonna hit it too hard one day and my knee's just gonna die.
Probably.
So I'm gonna put the hammer down.
Sure.
You want me to put the hammer down?
So like, but if you go back to like, if you want to compare this one to previous Oscar winners, this falls in the category as the couple years before it, where Spotlight and Birdman were the best picture winners.
Right.
Like, Spotlight doesn't give a flying fortnight whether or not you agree that there's a problem. It's telling you point blank, there's a problem.
Right.
And that's why I think that was the major thing why Whiplash lost over Birdman. It's like a lot of people were upset that Whiplash didn't win. Myself at the time included, because I hadn't seen Birdman. I'd only seen Whiplash. And Whiplash is a great movie if you've never watched it. It's got J.K. Simmons in it. It's about jazz.
Oh, I know. I've seen clips from it. I've never seen the
You'd
film
really
itself.
like it.
I know. I've heard it's the kind of movie that I specifically would very much like.
But at the end, like, there's too much of a like villain and hero relationship in that one for it to like have that kind of gravitas, that unshakable. Like, as you look at a movie like this, and you're right, a lot of people are going to sit there and go, yeah, okay, I do not feel like I am allowed to disagree with that movie. I do not feel like I have the necessary like qualifications to disagree with that movie.
Oh yeah, Sharon lives a life I cannot imagine.
But it's a life that hundreds of thousands of people across the world live.
Right, but like it shines a light in a way that it's like I don't realize the kind of privilege I come from until I realize this could be a true story.
This is autobiographical.
How is it? Who's it about?
Oh, I can't. No,
Brad Pitt?
it's about Brad Pitt. I can't remember what the guy's name is, but he wrote and never finished a play about it. Autobiographical. And then Barry Jenkins took the story and was like, I want to turn this into a movie.
And the guy was like, how about $1.5 million?
The guy being Brad Pitt. That's where Brad Pitt factors into this. Brad Pitt just like stroked him a check out of like Brad Pitt's bank account.
Well, there was a couple executive producers, but he's the top one.
No, I've done a couple different pieces of research there because I thought that was interesting. There was like literally an article that was like how $1.5 million of Brad Pitt's money translated directly into an Oscar.
The man he produces some worthwhile films.
He does. If you look at Plan B Entertainment, whatever it's called, they have got some hitters on that list, especially recently. But no, this movie portrays a lifestyle that I can't even begin to approach or to imagine. Because it would have been one thing if Sharon was gay, and it would have been one thing if Sharon was black. But he's both of them.
He's also just like incredibly awkward. Not awkward, maybe that's the wrong word, but he's incredibly like, maybe shy is the wrong word. Shy, I feel like, is a word of privilege, that like you have the opportunity to be outgoing, but you aren't.
Yeah, that's definitely a good Fortnite, dude. Good statement.
Thank you.
I started talking before I even like fully processed that.
Right. Like, Sharon doesn't have the opportunity to even be shy. He is hated from the onset. There's a scene of him as a child where the other kids are playing Smear the Queer.
Yeah, that was a wild thing for me to watch on screen. Because like, for those of you who don't know, I'm sure that game is not still called that.
It's not even called that in the movie. They call it by something else later on.
Do they?
I think so.
Anyway, we had that game in elementary school.
Yeah, we had that game.
You might want to turn me down a little bit in your headphones. I'm getting some feedback.
I've got you turned down.
Can you hear me still? Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. We had that game in elementary school. Never thought a thing about it.
I didn't think a thing about it in elementary school, but as an adult, I've reflected and been like, is that really what we called that?
Yeah, it doesn't even seem possible anymore. But no, they're definitely doing that. And they may not call it that in the movie, but like that was definitely a scene that had been put in there by somebody who had heard that name. Like that is not by any means like a mistake.
And he didn't want to participate because he might not have even known what the word meant, but it's like an artistic decision to be like, this kid doesn't want to participate because the other kids don't realize how evil they are.
Yeah, that was some shockingly good dialogue, like some dialogueless storytelling that was very, very interesting.
Right. And was that Kevin he wrestles with at the beginning?
Yeah, that's Kevin.
Okay. I wasn't sure if that was the same character or if there was...
No, they did. That was one thing I thought was a bad job. Because the kid that they chose to play a young Kevin looks more like the bully than he does like Kevin. Like when you move to the next generation and there's that kid bullying Chiron, the one that still calls him little, that kid looks more like Kevin than Kevin does.
Right.
Like when they reintroduced Kevin, I thought it was a different person.
I did too. I just figured this was a boy that he met
in the interim. Yeah.
Right. And that was like, I was able to pick that up just fine. I was like, oh, okay. So he had that experience as a kid, and now this is the person he's going to have experience with as a middle-aged, as a teen. And then as an adult, he's going to meet, like, planning ahead in the story, I was like, and as an adult, he's going to meet a third guy that he, is like able to be happily in love with. But this movie doesn't really have a happy ending.
It doesn't have a not happy ending, though.
He ends up with the guy, but like, you don't feel like their life is going to be any easier because they're together. But they're willing to accept the challenge of them being together because the benefits of being with the person they love outweighs the fear for their lives that comes with that.
Right. And also, I mean, like, you get the impression that Chiron doesn't want to go back to Atlanta and doesn't want to go back to dealing drugs.
Right.
So I think that, like, in the course of those couple scenes, he made a lot of progress because he doesn't want to end up like Juan.
Right. And this was also a moment for me where I was like, Kevin is asking him, like, do you want to go back and sell drugs? How did you get into this life and all this stuff? And in my mind, I was like, I don't know anything about drug dealing. Pretend I've never talked to a drug dealer in my life, and you've got my level of knowledge about this. But my understanding is that you can't just get out of selling meth.
It depends. It seems like Chiron was probably the guy that he had probably put himself in a position of being the guy.
Right. I think people would notice if he stopped showing up to work.
I think that he could probably get away with it.
You think
he's
so?
At the point, yeah.
I can't imagine these days with these cell phones. You got a little tracker on you all the time. I guess you just get a
He was
new
also
number.
not selling meth.
Well, that's what the Mahershala Ali was selling.
He was selling crack.
Or is crack not meth? Pretend I know nothing about drugs.
Crack is not meth.
Okay.
Crack is a derivative of cocaine. Okay. Meth is like directly synthesized. You learned nothing from Breaking Bad, did you?
I learned plenty from Breaking Bad. I just thought crack and meth are the same thing.
They're not.
Okay. Because they're all the rock, I thought. You were getting rocks.
You get crack rocks. That's what
Or you get meth rocks.
That's what rocks means.
Let me tell you something, Ethan. If I was in the same room as, like, cocaine, I would cry.
You've said that many times on this show. Just reiterating that.
I just want you to be aware that would scare me
honestly,
to death.
that was the only scene for me that took me out of this whole thing, was Kevin being surprised that Chiron got into selling drugs.
I think what happened to Kevin was he went to prison as well, and it worked,
yeah,
right?
But I think that he went to a different kind of prison.
Yeah. I think Kevin is from a place of slightly more privilege, and I could be wrong about this, but I think he comes from maybe a slightly more put together household than Chiron.
Definitely. I mean, Chiron's mother's a crack addict and a prostitute.
Right. And the father's not in the picture at all.
Right. And Juan dies.
Juan dies? Yeah. Is that what happened to him?
There's a lot of stuff you gotta really look to catch in this movie. So when he goes over, he goes to stays with just Teresa, and then he comes home, and his mom's all like, "Oh man, she's still living alone. I haven't seen her since the funeral."
Oh, I just figured that was like a community thing.
No, Juan's dead. Otherwise, he would have definitely come back.
Well, that's what I would have thought, but I thought when he says something to Chiron early on, and the Chiron's like, I don't know, they have that falling out, and I figured he was like, you know what, you're right, I'm not qualified to do this, and he just stepped out of the picture.
No, because he would have, he's definitely dead.
Right.
They tell you a lot of different things sort of like backhanded that way in this movie.
Right. There's a lot to unpack here.
It really is. And we, two straight, never doing drugs white dudes, are probably not the best qualified people to unpack this.
But I think we...
But it's like, I was able to understand the points they were making with like a shocking, horrifying amount of clarity for somebody that has never lived through it or experienced it.
Did you understand why? Like, could you put yourself in Chiron's shoes to break the chair over the kid's back?
I mean, probably.
Now, I know for me personally, I was bullied in high school. Not to the extent that this kid was. My struggle was not like this. But I know that even at the small level of bullying I went through, I never once felt like harming a classmate.
No, but like Chiron, he feels unwelcome at home. He feels like he doesn't have a place to live. His father figure's gone. The only person that he's ever been intimate with, the only person he's shared that part of himself with, that literally the next day is beating the living shit out of him in the parking lot. Yeah. Like, that is a whole...
What a powerful
That is
story.
a whole level of bullying that I can't even like.
Oh no, I feel like I get it. When he did it, I was like, you go.
Yeah, it's like I definitely, that was the one moment where I was like, oh, Fortnite. Yeah, dude, because that was a heck scene too. Like the way that was shot. because it doesn't, you feel the tension. Every time he walks through a door, you feel like, oh man, this is not going to go well. He walks into class and it's just like, oh, he's just going to go to class. You see him walk in front of the chair. You're like, oh, he's just going to sit. No, he's not going to just sit down. Okay.
Yeah, he hit his ass. I also feel like you get this weird thing where like Kevin is like in with the cool kids, right? He's always had an easier time balancing this interest thing. And you get the feeling that maybe he isn't, like maybe he is like bisexual or pansexual or something. He's able to fake it a lot better than Sharon is.
Right. Even as a kid, Sharon's mom was just like, this kid, he's never going to be anybody because he's gay.
Right. Can you imagine growing up here gay?
He says that to, or she says that to Juan. Yeah. And Sharon can't have been more than, 8 or 9 years old at that point. I have no idea what, I've realized this a lot, like doing the show and watching movies that have kids in them. I have no idea what kids look like. Like, I have no idea how to pinpoint how old a kid is on screen.
I said a kid was like 8.
Was he though? Because I have no idea. That's what I thought, like 8 or 9 years old. But like, if you had told me, oh, that kid's 12 or whatever, or you told me like, oh, he's 12. There's a lot of times where it's like, ah, man, that kid could be 10 or he could be 15. Like, and there's a big difference for the story.
Yes.
So I have no idea what kids look like at any given age.
Kids grow at different paces, so it's tough.
Yeah.
I also don't know what people look like. Like, I used to card people, when I was 14, I had to card people at Kroger to sell alcohol, because you could do that at a grocery store in Virginia. I don't know if that's normal everywhere, but I could do it. And I remember, I have a very distinct memory of this lady coming through the line, and I was like, can I see your ID, ma'am? And like, try telling a 14-year-old that he has to ID people who are 21, the only demographic he never gets to spend time with, and he thinks are the coolest group of people on earth. Right. But I was like, ma'am, could I see your ID? And she laughs in my face. She said, I haven't been ID'd in 30 years. And I was like, oh my God. And that was true. She was like 55.
And that's one of those moments that just sort of haunts you in the back of your mind forever. You get that anxiety.
And
like, you wake up in the middle of the night like, oh my God.
Like, and she was flattered, she was like, and she showed me her ID, and it was like a funny moment for her. And she probably talked about it at dinner party that weekend. But it's still like, how did I get that so wrong?
I know so many people that just get incensed when they're asked for their ID. People our age. People like 25, 26, 27.
You want my ID? I come to this bar all the time. Let me tell you right now, if bartender asks for your ID and you're under 30, even if you go to that bar all the time, you don't know if they had a meeting where the owner was like, hey man, I think the ABC guy's coming through tonight. If you let anybody slide without carding them, it's going to be a $20,000 fine and you're going to spend 5 months in prison. So just, you know what, just for tonight, just be safe, because I had that conversation all the time.
Right. And it's just like, I don't know, it takes 5 seconds.
Right. Your $3 Bud Light is not worth $20,000 to me. Let me see your driver's license.
Now, on the other hand, bartenders, just a little, this is a complete sidebar. Bartenders, if you work at a bar where you card, you should probably learn like where the birthdays are on the IDs from your state.
It's on the bottom right.
Yeah, because I hand my ID to a lot of freaking bartenders that are just like, where are we? Birthday. Where's the birthday on this? I'm like,
we live in a retirement community, Ethan. I don't know if you knew that. They haven't looked at an ID in 30
years. Yeah, but like,
years.
if you're gonna ID me, you should like at least know. And I'm in the state that you work in. Out of state. Right. Fine, whatever. I'm in South Carolina. Your IDs are like laminated still. Whatever. Like. But if I'm in Virginia, just learn where the birthdays are on Virginia IDs. It's just that's just it. Just my little grievance there is like, on one hand, I have no problem showing my ID. On the other hand, just like, it shouldn't take 25 minutes for you to find the birthday.
You know what gets me is can you clarify some details on your ID questions? Like, they'll take your ID and they'll say, what's your birthday? And I'm like, 120192. And they're like, what's your driver's license number? And I know it. I've got it ready to go.
That's never happened to me in my life.
Right, but like, I think it's only happened to me maybe once or twice. But I know it and I'm ready to go. And then it's like, well, if I know these things, now it looks like I'm faking it. Why am I getting anxious? I am of age to buy this alcohol. That's my driver's license. Do you want to see all my credit cards that have that name on them? Do you want to see my passport? What do you want to see to know that that's me?
I have been double ID'd before.
Really?
Where they're like, yeah.
Well, because you have the straight, you still have the vertical.
That had nothing to do with it.
Oh.
It's just like it was in Blacksburg at Hokie House, and there was a sign that was like, we require 2 forms of identification.
But a lot of students would just have like their student ID.
I just showed them a credit card that had my name on it. Like, right. But yeah, it's like a lot of people would have like their Hokie passport.
You said something about rails this week on Twitter. I vomited in my shoes and put them back on.
I can go for a rail. It's been too long.
It's been long enough.
It's been too long. Tots is legendary.
Can you imagine going in there now? I would be like,
yeah,
oh
I
my
absolutely
God.
Can't imagine going in there now. It's just a bar,
I don't have a pacifier for these literal children. They're like 16,
They're not
man.
16.
Some of them I'm sure are. There's a Blacksburg High School.
They identify pretty hard in some places like that.
They do. These people are 21. They're undergrads.
That was the thing in New Orleans, man. Like, yeah, you can do whatever you want. Like, you can walk around naked. Like, you can drink in the street, but like, God help you if you do not have your driver's license. You can't go anywhere.
Yeah, it was a wild place. I recommend New Orleans, but you can go. I would say if you're there for more than 3 days, you're gonna start feeling it.
We were there for 48 of God's hours.
They were blessed.
And by the time we left, I was like, I never want to spend another minute in this forgotten like swamp hellhole.
You start smelling like New Orleans.
Like, you showed me that song by Luda, that Lake Pontchartrain song, and I get it, man.
Yeah.
Like,
I have a religious devotion to that song.
Love a song that tells a story, even if that story is complete and utter nonsense about being eaten by crawfish.
In Lake Pontchartrain. Oh, the weird thing about my laundry room is that it's also my office, so I can't do laundry while we record the podcast, which we have done 4 times in the past 7 days, and it just messes up my rhythm.
Do you normally do laundry during recording?
I have done it before when it was in different rooms.
Fair.
Do you not?
No.
What's your laundry rotation? How frequently are you doing the load?
I don't know.
What are you, like a 10-day guy? 7-day guy?
Do it whenever I need to, guy.
Oh, man. See, I live
But
in
that's
a world where
that's
if I don't...
more frequently than 10 days.
If I don't do a load of laundry every day, I don't know what the problem is. I get backed up on laundry, and that's worse than not
You're wearing
having
too many
underpants.
clothes.
I'm not. I wear an outfit to the gym, and then I typically change into an outfit for work, and that's usually like a polo and a pair of khakis or jeans, and I just wear that for the rest of the day.
Then how are you getting backed up on laundry?
I don't know. I'll tell you one thing that's revolutionized my laundry situation, and this is a dad thing. Maybe you'll learn about this in a year, huh?
Negative.
2 years? 2 years?
I'll learn about it when I want to.
How are our kids going to get married if you don't have
Our
kids?
kids are not going to get married.
Why?
That would just be so weird.
Because my kids are 10 years older than
That
your
would be
kids?
weird, yeah. Your kids are not going to be 10 years older than my kids. They are going to be
Okay,
older than everybody
so-
else's kids.
My kids?
Yeah.
Jonathan's kid's older than my kid.
Your kid can't marry Jonathan's kid.
Oh, yeah. Definitely not.
I don't know how to tell you that other than just to be straight with you, Tyler.
No, I know. I can't. I know that Olivia can't marry Luke, but like, there are boy children out there that are older than my daughter.
Yes, but I mean, among, like, our friends, like, your kids are going to be older than everybody else's kids.
Right. Well, maybe some of them. Maybe we'll have a kid, and then you'll have a kid next year, and
I
then
am not
a year
having
after
a
that,
kid
we'll have another
next
kid.
year.
Well, maybe you could like get the process started.
I'm not in any hurry.
I'm in a
I know
hurry.
you are. You've been in a hurry your
you.
whole life.
That's all I've ever wanted. You wanted to take pictures and go on tour. I wanted to have kids. I feel like we're both achieving our dreams.
Right. I agree with that.
Okay. So when are you having kids?
See, Tyler, when I say to you, as I have before in the past, Tyler, you're pushing your dreams on me. This is what I mean.
No. What about your daughter's dreams or your son's dreams? Because those are really what matter to me more than anything.
I do not have a son or daughter to have dreams yet.
They're coming.
They're
Anyway,
not in any particular hurry. Also, if
you
you're
got to get
concerned-
married first. When are you getting married?
I'm not answering that question on the podcast.
What else? So you need to have kids. I'm with that. Chris needs to have kids. Chris, are you listening? I need you to have kids.
He is also in no particular hurry.
I know. Chris and Sarah are like just perfect human beings. They're both so pretty. They're both so good at everything. They've got turf. How do you get turf, Ethan?
Sod. You just lay down sod, Tyler.
Is it expensive?
It's not. I mean,
How do
it's
you
not
get that?
free.
Who do you call?
You call
Anyway.
Chris?
Oh, is he the turf
He
guy?
put that down himself. He and Sarah
All right,
put that
all right.
down. Turns out, sod, not that hard. It comes in rolls.
I know.
Like, you just roll it out.
It's funny. Their sod looks so good, and it's a different color than the rest of the grass in the neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
Gets me every time.
There's a big
what else was I
anti-lawn
saying?
movement going on the Twitter right now.
Anti-lawn because we waste so much money on water for Kentucky bluegrass.
Yeah, it's just a whole lot of things. Lawns are racist. Well, they're just like a sign of like having like a turf lawn is just like it's the most privileged thing you can do. It's going like, the grass I have isn't good enough.
I want different grass.
You don't have grass. You have weed.
I know. And I want grass.
No, there's nothing natural about a lawn, though.
Sure there is.
There's not.
Sure. What are humans aliens? Everything we do is natural.
That's not true.
Skyscrapers are natural.
No, they're not.
What are they made of? Moon rock?
That's not how that's not how nature works.
Yes, it is. This is the dumb... Oh, I hate this stupid argument. It's not natural. What do you mean it's not natural?
It's not. Lawns
Humans
don't
are part
occur
of
in
the
nature.
earth. We did it. What do you mean they don't occur in nature? Humans occur in nature. Humans do things. Therefore, those things occur in nature.
You're getting way too mad about this.
Oh my gosh, this is the stupidest argument.
It's not.
Everything
Lawns have a
humans
lack
do is
of
natural.
biodiversity, which is problematic. Put the pop filter back.
Here's the thing.
No.
Everything humans do is
You
natural.
shut the hell up, Tyler Carlin. Look, listener, I need you to understand what it's like podcasting with Tyler. Podcasting. He can't stop touching things, which is fine, but one of those things, especially recently, is the pop filter in front of his microphone.
It's loose. That's why I keep touching it. I tightened it. It's not loose anymore. I don't have any more problems.
I don't know what you... But
what happens...
These things to cost like a whole $7, Tyler. I don't know how you'd expect them to not come loose.
I know. If you are a new podcaster, here's some things to invest in that don't cost a lot. Also, we're going to talk about investing your money smartly and voting with your dollar real quick. If you are a new podcaster, buy a pop filter. It is very inexpensive and will make a huge difference.
Spend like $15 on one.
Yeah, I would get not the cheapest one they sell.
One you can find.
But not the most expensive one you can find, because at the end of the day, it's really pantyhose stretched over a circle.
Pantyhose on, yeah. There's an episode of I Only Listen to Mountain Goats where... Joseph records with a pop filter and John records with a sock on his microphone. And Joseph was just like, tell me at the end if you can hear a difference. And you can't.
But buy the pop filter.
Yeah, buy the pop filter, because you're not paying for the pantyhose, you're paying for the stick that the pantyhose is attached to. And that's the part that makes me want to throw this thing out the window.
I don't know how expensive pantyhose are, but this might be a good deal on pantyhose. Additionally, if your friend has a small business, there are lots of great ways to support them for no money, but the best way to support them is to buy their product.
Yes. Go to teespring.com/store/bacon-and-eggs.
Like, you can support them by leaving a positive iTunes review for their podcast, or joining their Facebook group, or tweeting about their product, whatever it is, or telling your friends about the product. But the best way to support your friend's business is to buy the product.
Yes, absolutely. The best way to support your friend's podcast is to go to their Patreon. I don't know why we're saying this.
Patreon.com.
This is weirdly like, I don't know what's happening.
I don't know. Moonlight.
Right, Moonlight.
A lot less moonlight in this film than I would have thought.
No, this is a very bright film for the most of it.
A lot of colors, yep.
No, not
Love
a lot
the
of colors. Very few colors.
Well, Juan's house, favorite house in the world. It's just half painted.
Yeah, half painted pink.
They just like gave up halfway through. I love that. We need bold strokes.
But no, this movie is very like, they made it look like the sun was a fluorescent tube. Yeah. Like, this is very white light.
And everything is fluorescent.
Well, that's Hollywood, though. That's the most Hollywood thing you can do. How do we reflect, I tweeted this last night, how do we visually reflect poverty and underprivileged lifestyles? Fluorescent lights.
Yeah, which is weird because fluorescent lighting is not the cheapest
lighting.
No,
but everybody looks terrible under fluorescent lighting. And fluorescent lighting rings of like this, it rings of like things that you're not supposed to want, like government housing.
Yeah. Man, the house that Sharon lives in looks scary.
Yes. So that's what this movie is about. Is just the entire system that leads
sucks.
Yeah, the entire system sucks. The entire system that leads Sharon, the abused son of a drug addict, to feel like his only option is to sell drugs.
To get back in the circle. He comes from a world where you don't get a job.
No,
there aren't jobs for people like you.
Or you sell drugs.
Right. Like in his mind, there is no job he could do. He finds out that Kevin is a chef and he's like, what? Like a normal person job?
Yeah, like he got a 9 to 5.
And that's like a complete shift. That's like not even a shift. That's a mentality that like, I feel like I'm scared of your profession right now, like the fact that you're like a freelance photographer, because there's not enough structure to it, and you're doing great with it, and I'm super proud of you, and I love everything about it, but like the thought of me doing something like that scares me to death.
Yeah, I mean, I feel that. Yeah, but Sharon comes.
And that's like a real job.
It is. But Sharon comes from a place, and you hear this all the time from white people who come from small towns. And that is definitely, like, I'm not here to like to make an archetype out of like black problems by comparing the white people, but like it is a real problem for like rural white people. It's like a lot of people grow up, well, not a lot, but a percentage of people that grow up in like tiny towns never leave them. Like there's no way out. And you hear this all the time in movies and songs, everything. It's like, I grew up in a place where there was no way out. You lived here, you were born here, you die here.
Right.
And
it's the story about like the one person who went to college in a different city and then found a job in that city.
Right. It's like at the beginning of Jersey Boys, the movie about Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons by Clint Eastwood. The Clint Eastwood musical. It's a weird statement to say out loud. But at the beginning, the dude's just like, Look, we came from a part of New Jersey where there's only 2 ways out. You get famous or you get killed. And that's this, except there is no getting famous.
Right, yeah. No, there's no opportunity for
like
fame
Kevin
and joy.
never left Miami.
He just became
a chef in Miami.
In like a not even like a big deal diner.
Just like the equivalent of a Waffle House.
Right. Like he calls himself a cook.
Yeah. He's
not a chef.
Yeah, he's a short order cook.
And he makes this like fancy meal for him and his like canned black beans and it's nothing special.
Right, he like tries to pour wine for Sharon.
And he's got it in the plastic diner cups.
Yeah.
That the Dr. Pepper rep brings.
Yeah. And it's like Sharon got out because he went to prison. His mom got out because she went to rehab.
Right.
That's it. Those are your options.
And for Sharon, that's all it's ever going to be.
So this movie's a commentary. It's not even commentary. This movie is a slap in the face to the school system and especially the prison system.
And what I thought was interesting was that the teachers at this school were like well dressed. They seemed caring. They seemed like they genuinely wanted to do their jobs.
Right.
I know you don't get like any FaceTime with the teachers, right? Because the problems of the kids at home and at school greatly outweigh their interest in learning microbiology.
Right. And that's the statement I think this movie's making is because you see what the hell is the name of the movie?
Freedom Writers?
No.
You remember that one though?
No. What is that?
It's about some, I don't know, famous white woman becomes like a teacher in an inner city school and she gets them to write in journals and then they become like caring students and the program's helped like thousands of kids across the country.
Hang on a second.
It's a good film. I'd say it's worth $2.99 on Amazon.
But no, there's so many hang on.
Yeah.
Trying to look up a movie. No, there's so many so many movies where, the teacher's the kind of guy that like or girl that saves the kids. And this is not one of those movies.
Right. The teacher couldn't be that person.
Right. It's like there's a movie with I'm still trying to find what it's called. There's a movie called it's To Sir with Love. It's got Sidney Poitier, who was like a famous black actor. And he goes and is like a teacher in London in the 60s and has to like Dead Poet Society these kids who are just they're like bad seed kids who are going to be like dropouts.
Right.
And it's like this this black dude who's very well dressed, very smart, very well spoken, teaching these absolute like Breakfast Club ingrates that are all white.
Yo, the nerd was not an ingrate.
Okay, but they're like it's an entire room full of Judd Nelsons, Benders.
Yeah, Bender.
Yeah, they even dress like him.
In the 60s?
It was England.
Oh yeah.
They were the not hippies of the 60s.
Was Bender... Here's a quick question for you about the Breakfast Club, Ethan. Was Bender supposed to be hot?
Some people think so. Was Emilio Estevez supposed to be hot?
Emilio Estevez is supposed to be hot.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. Is like their style, their whole look just does not translate. It is the opposite of timeless.
Goth girl. Yeah, like the goth girl, I think is the prettiest of the group. I think Molly Ringwald is very attractive. There's no doubt
but like
about that
hairstyle ruins everyone.
Right.
And there's some things that are classic. It's like everybody talks about the current it's the same haircut that you and I have, but the traditional Fortnite boy haircut of the mid 2015s.
Yeah.
And it's like,
and you know what? I don't have a clue what's going to come next, and I don't know what to do.
That comes
when it
around like
happens.
every 20 years because it's just like a normal haircut.
Right.
Like it looks good on all white dudes.
Right. This haircut's been in some form or another for the past, I'd say, 100 years.
Yeah, but it definitely has its ebbs and flows.
Yes. But I think all it takes is David Beckham to play one soccer game or show up to one event before we're all like, all right.
The next thing.
That's it.
No,
now.
it's already
That's
happening. It's already happening. Long hair on guys is coming back.
Well, we had a little resurgence of that with the man bun thing.
No, but just like having long hair, not like super long, but like shoulder length.
What do you think when you think man bun? Do you think that is a feminine look or a particularly masculine look? If you were to put it in such binary terms,
neither.
Neither.
I don't particularly think like. It really depends on the person.
I know, because like Jason Momoa,
sometimes I see dudes, but it's like you gotta have the face for a man bun.
You gotta have the jaw for a man bun. Can you imagine me with a man bun?
No. It also looks super weird on dudes that are like clean shaven.
Yes.
Like you don't have to have a beard, but you gotta at least have the permanent state of like 11 o'clock shadow.
Oh, there's an app for this.
For what? What I would look like with a man bun?
Yeah, hold on.
I can tell you that I do not have the face for a man bun.
You don't think so? You don't think long hair Ethan is...
I think that if I had long hair, I would have to do a man bun. But like, I know that a lot of my friends are doing the like, it's not long hair so much as it's just like a lot of hair. It's just like a non-haircut.
Oh, I know that because that's I think that might be part of the punk rock music scene of RVA though.
Yeah, but like if you look 2 years ago, they all looked like us. Like, all of them. And now
They have more
now all
tattoos
those,
than me. I saw a report the other day that you'd be so
Yeah?
proud of. Turns out having tattoos has absolutely no effect on your ability to get a job, says a new report of like over 2,000 different employers in all 50 states.
I did see that. It's also being retweeted and reposted on Facebook on my particular timelines by some real idiots.
What do you mean? Why do you say that?
Girls that have like one shoulder tattoo of like a tiny bird. They're like, I could finally get a job now.
Well, the report is that like we didn't make a
No,
decision.
I'm not even talking
stop.
about. I'm not even talking about the report. I'm talking about people that are acting like they're somehow changed by it.
This app, the
Yeah.
Man Bun app, almost definitely was made for like the iPod 3GS. I got to take my headphones off for the selfie.
I can tell you. Oh, you just took your headphones off. Duh.
We got to add the bun. Okay. This app sucks.
I believe it.
Yeah. It just gives you the bun itself, a little transparent, the bun itself. It doesn't give you the slick back hair.
Oh, well, that's not how bun works.
I know. I'm not about this.
No, but for the man bun, and this is like the most ridiculous thing to be talking about on a movie about black people. But for the man bun, you have to have the right jaw and the right hairline, because all the
Yes.
man bun does is like, if you have any problems with your hairline, that's gonna make it look like it.
Yes.
So there's people that it works for, but for the most part, I think that's a trend that needs to go away.
Really? You don't like the man bun?
I've seen very few people that I was like, this is an improvement.
Really? I feel the opposite. I feel like most people I see with a man bun, I'm like, wow, that's a bold look, and I like it.
Yeah, but like, how many people
Most
do
of the
you
people
know
I see
with
with a man bun are Jason Momoa.
But even in real life, it's like you're talking about like David Elliott.
I know David Elliott. A guy I work
David
with
Elliott
got a
doesn't have
man
a man
bun.
bun anymore.
Looks great on him. David Elliott, I don't think did when I knew him.
He had like real.
David Elliott is a prominent RVA musician who once in my public speaking class gave a speech about agave and tequila, and
He was a Hampton Roads musician.
whatever. East of Roanoke, Virginia-based musician. East of Charlottesville.
Yeah, but there's a big difference between the two places.
I mean, to you.
Yeah, also to the people that are involved.
Yeah, but not to me, who is not involved. Tangentially involved.
Anyway,
You could call it Southeast America music scene, and I would be like, yeah, that works. I'm with that.
that is too broad.
Too broad?
Too broad.
Eastern Seaboard.
That is more broad.
Less broad. That doesn't have Texas.
South Texas is not southeast.
I'd say you put Texas in the Southeast.
I don't think you could.
You think Southeast is east of the Mississippi?
Yeah, I would say like Mississippi, Alabama, and east up to like Virginia.
Oh, Virginia. Really, we need to get over this. It's up to DC. Virginia is included, everybody. Listen, I'm not proud of it. We've done some terrible things as the South, but Virginia is the South. I just want to make that clear.
Yeah, listen, Nova kids. You're not
I don't know,
special.
where did your weird northern pride come from? You're south of DC. They sold the freaking capital to the Potomac, okay? North of Nova.
Anyway, let's talk about Moonlight. Unless you have something else unless you have something funny.
This isn't a funny day, Ethan. Moonlight
Well, you were
is
the one
a
that was like,
serious
I
film.
want to get into some jokes.
I do
so
wanna
get into some jokes, funny man.
I've got
Give me some
no
jokes.
about this movie.
Not even jokes,
No
but just give me
about
jokes
this
in
film.
general. This is what makes comedy, right?
The
Me just like
jokes.
telling you to be funny.
Telling you to be funny. So, like, Pitbull's from Miami, but I didn't get the vibe that he was involved in any of the same stuff as these people.
Pitbull's from...
Is all of Miami not exactly the same?
No, it's not.
Really?
Yeah, it turns out.
There are other parts of Miami. I'll tell you, this movie does a really good job of showing how miserable and humid it is in Miami. Because the kid gets in the water for the swimming lesson, and he looks like he gets exactly 0 more wet.
Yeah, this movie, I think, is the first movie that has ever accurately described what it's like in Florida.
It's so
like, when I looked
humid.
at this movie, I was like... Because you look at Paper Towns, that movie takes place in Orlando.
Yeah, but Orlando is, like, the happiest place on
no,
earth.
it's not, though. Orlando has Disney World, which isn't even in Orlando.
But it was filmed in, like, Indiana, wasn't it?
No, it was filmed in Orlando. Yeah,
was
it was
it?
like the Orlando skyline.
I don't know.
But anyway,
I know that
like that movie
was
could take place.
okay.
And I get that that's kind of the point. But that movie could take place anywhere. This movie takes place in Florida.
In Miami.
Yeah, like as from the second this movie opened, I was like, it's hot. I feel hot.
I feel
Juan's
warm.
walking around in pants, and I'm like, why? Why you got? Everybody's got pants on always in this movie.
Well, that's just a part of it, man. You stick your tongue out when you talk. Yeah, that's what Mahershala did. Every time he'd say something, he'd be like, hey, man,
He does that all the time.
you know, I ain't trying to mess with your boy or nothing. And then we stick his tongue out.
Yeah.
That's what I do when I talk.
I don't think it is.
Not at all what I do when I talk. Not even a little bit. Ethan, I want to know, what was the most powerful scene in this film for you? I want to know. And I want you to break down the swimming scene for me. Why is that the scene that, like, everybody is always like, this is the greatest scene of all time, and you need to be talking about this scene, because it's freaking amazing. And I get it, right? Like, we are the camera, and we're drowning, and we are Sharon, and we don't know what to do. And even when he learns how to swim, he still feels like he's drowning. So even though he knows he's going to be okay, he still feels like he's drowning, because he never really feels okay, right? And then Juan is gone. He's swimming on his own. The end of the scene, Juan's not even there. And then he wants to do it again, and he's like, I'm going to go be myself, and I'm going to swim in the bathtub of my house, but I have to heat water to put it in the bathtub. And he doesn't turn the freaking oven off. But we don't see any of the bad results of that. But that's got to be a serious thing. I thought for sure there was going to be a follow-up scene where they, like, lived in a different house because he burned the last one down.
I think you're thinking about that the wrong way.
What am I thinking about the wrong way?
The oven thing.
No, I think it matters that he didn't turn the oven off. They show him turn it off.
It does not matter that he doesn't turn the oven off.
Oh, man. I was ultra anxious immediately.
Okay, because you're looking at the wrong things.
I'm not looking at the wrong thing.
You are, absolutely. That is you looking at the wrong thing.
I think everything there is planned. I think there's a lot to interpret there, and I don't think that's the only thing, but I think it's something to be interpreted.
Turning the oven on is planned. Turning the oven off doesn't matter.
So break down that scene for me.
You just went on like a 5-minute tirade that linked 5 different scenes.
Yeah, so talk to me about the swimming scene and then the follow-up scene where he puts the warm water in the bathtub.
No, you just said everything you feel like you need to know about it.
Right, but I want to know what you have to say about it. I want to know your interpretation.
So it's the first time that Sharon feels like, at least this is what I got out of it, the first time Sharon feels like there's any possibility, any hope for him whatsoever. Because, like, he found this, because, this movie is not by any means shying away from stereotypes. And, like, there's a deep-rooted stereotype that black people don't swim. They don't know how. They don't want to know how. There's different reasons you get into for that. But he meets this guy, this father figure to him. He has this transcendent moment where he feels safe, he feels loved, and he feels cared about. And he learns to swim, which is something that, like, his friends probably don't know how to do. His friends will probably never try. But he knows how to do it. He was taught how to do it. And so he goes home trying to replicate it, but, like, he can't even get, and that's important, he can't even get in the bathtub without, like, baking his water first. Like
yeah,
they don't have hot water.
Hot water.
Because that's the only point of that is, like, that's something that you wouldn't even think about it. You just go turn the bathtub on and you have hot water. It's water exactly whatever temperature you want it at. That is something that shocked me because it's something I had never even thought about before. There are people living in major cities in America that do not have access to hot water.
There are people living in major cities that don't have access to clean water.
Yes, that is accurate as well. That's a whole different set of problems, though.
Correct.
That's the system being messed up, but for different reasons.
Right. I also think you spoke to how, like, there's this deep-seated stereotype that black people don't know how to swim. I think Sharon learning how to swim also teaches him, like, the importance of Juan being there is you're going to be different than everyone else.
Right. From the beginning, yeah. He's going to be different because he is different. He was born different. He was born, whether he is, straight, gay, or whatever.
Right. But there are people in this world who are like you.
Right.
Like, Juan might not be gay, but he can swim.
Right. That is, definitely a connective tissue, a connective bond between them. Is it like, and Juan's different because he's kind.
Right.
He's, the only person in Sharon's life, at least at that point, that takes any amount of interest in the kid. He doesn't ask questions. He doesn't make him talk. He feeds him. He takes care of him. He brings him home to his... And you even see the scene where Teresa's like, why would you bring some random kid home? And then as soon as she gets in the car, she's just completely different because she realizes that she's not going to solve anything by being mean to this kid. However she feels about it, she needs to put that aside to take care of the kid. And so he meets those people, and they are different. They're different because he's a drug dealer still. Like, he's a different drug dealer. So that scene is both humanizing of Sharon because he learns that there are people like him, but it's humanizing of Juan as well in that, like, he is just like a regular guy. Regardless of what he does for a living, he's a regular guy.
Right. And he's able to turn work off and go home.
Right.
Which speaks to, like, the way men think. We compartmentalize things. I'm at work now, and while I'm here, I do work, but when I'm at home, I provide, and that's what I do. And it doesn't matter where the money comes from. What matters is that I have it.
Right. And even when Sharon looks at Juan and it's like, so you sell drugs, he looks back at Teresa like, did I just say the wrong thing? And Teresa's just like, whatever, it's a living. I mean, she doesn't say that, but she doesn't say anything.
With the exception of my wife, Janelle Monáe is now the only prettiest person.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. She's a treasure.
Being. Yeah.
I would advise getting into some of her music if you never have.
I've listened to her, like, radio songs. I don't know anything beyond that.
She's got good stuff. She's a very talented individual.
She was good in this.
For the time she was in it. I mean, that's really, like, this movie doesn't lean on one particular actor at all.
No. And the fact that Sharon is three
and
different
Kevin's
people.
three different people.
Right.
And then, Juan is only in his life for part 1. Teresa's a little bit in his life for part 2.
The only consistency is Kevin.
And his mother. She's the only actor in the movie that stays through all 3 parts. This movie just has so much to say on so many different topics. It just shows you the many, many different ways that Sharon was let down by everything that's supposed to be there for him. Like, this kid never stood a chance. And again, that's what I was saying earlier about, like, it was surprising to me that Kevin was surprised that he ended up selling drugs. Like, I get the mentality of, like, well, my mom does it, I wouldn't want to be any part of it. But, like, to him, that's all there is. That's the only option. Because he was in jail when he was, like, 14.
Right.
Like, he got sent to juvie, and, I mean, God knows what happened to him from there. We don't know when he got out. We don't know how long he stayed in prison. But we know that, like, Kevin even says it's like everybody goes to jail. And that's such a wild thing coming from my background. It's like, everybody doesn't go to jail here.
Right. I noticed that. I was growing up, and there was a time where we were out with some strangers. We weren't, like, hanging out with some strangers, but we were there's the spot in the Salem where there's just, like, a rope swing. You can swing into the river. We were out there, and there was some other group of people out there, and they were just talking about, like it was absolutely nothing. Oh, yeah, I just did 6 weeks out in county, and then next month I've got 2 weeks up in the city, and they were talking about prison, and it was like, what? Yeah. Like, that was just part of the lifestyle.
Right. It was that, and that's that's just the privilege that we grew up with.
It is. It's eye-opening.
And that
makes you want to cherish every blessing.
And it's definitely not like it definitely is like a white privilege thing, but it's more to the point, it's a class privilege.
Yeah.
That, like, we have never been forced to turn to things that get us into prison for any purpose,
right? For
employment, for entertainment, for anything,
right?
And like there are, they talk about all the time. It's like
if I in high school wanted to make friends with people who didn't well, you can read books about Southwest Virginia and our problems with drugs, but if high school, I wanted to be friends with people who didn't do drugs. Like, if somebody offered me drugs and I was like, okay, that person's not my friend anymore.
Right.
There were heaps of people who were not involved.
Yeah, there were very few people that were, and everybody knew about it, and there were people that weren't.
Right.
There were most of the people weren't. Just because it's not like a thing. It's like nobody's parents, for the most part, were doing it.
And if they were, it wasn't like.
But it wasn't like it wasn't like when.
I'm sure we did, but it was not like a known thing that that kid's parents are on crack.
Right, and it's like
that was like a hyperbolic insult.
Yeah, when Sharon is like, yeah, my mom leaves all kinds of stuff sitting around. It's like, that didn't happen. We weren't exposed to that.
Right.
Now, we knew people that drank in high school. And plenty of people's parents do that. But that's like, alcoholism is like a sort of like a thing of privilege.
Ooh. That's a deep statement there.
But I mean, it is. It's like you're not turning to any substance that is like, you're turning to something that you have to like work a lot harder to get that sort of effect at.
Right.
Because you have that privilege of being able to say like, yeah, I'm just going to drink like a 30-pack of Busch Light.
Right.
And you don't have to worry about where that's coming from.
Legal to acquire.
It's the thing is, you just walk into a store, you don't have to worry about where it's coming from, you just buy it. And like, it's not an amount of money that's going to throw you off usually. Now, it definitely doesn't usually not end in a place of privilege. I don't know, this movie made me think a lot about a lot of things. Specifically because you see both sides of the prison system. You see how for a guy like Kevin, it worked.
Right, he went to prison and he was like, you know what? While I'm here, I'm going to take an opportunity to work in the kitchens. Although it was random, it sounded like it was assigned to him. And then he found a passion, and then he got out. And again, he was no Michelin star chef or anything.
Right.
But he got to be somebody.
He got a job that he can go home, he can be proud of. He can tell his kids what he does.
They take his kids to work.
And yeah, it's like he doesn't have a relationship with his ex, but he still has a relationship with his kid.
Right. Well, then it sounds like there's a reason him and his ex aren't together.
Yeah. And it's just like that's not a typical, it even shows you in this movie, like Sharon doesn't have a father.
He's not even like mentioned.
Yeah.
It's just understood that Sharon
Juan asks him about it and he just doesn't say anything and it never comes up again.
Right.
I don't know, this is a tough movie.
This is tough to watch, but I encourage you, dear listener, if you've made it this far in the episode, to watch this film.
Yeah, it's on Netflix. It's not particularly, it's profane. It is very profane. It earned its R rating in the first 30 seconds, but it's not particularly like anything else. Like there are drugs, some kids do some gay stuff together, but it's not like
there's a
violent scene. But like this is a shockingly unviolent movie. And I think that's important. That it's not a violent movie. It doesn't show, because Sharon has been involved in violence in the prison system and afterward, because he carries a gun and because he didn't just like get out of juvie on his 18th birthday.
Right.
It's important that this movie is not, it shows one scene of violence, but it doesn't, nobody ever shoots anybody, nobody does any of that. because that's not the part of this that matters. Like, the violence that occurred to him that occurred to him and that he incurred on other people doesn't take away from his story. It's just reality. And again, this is coming from the voices of two people that have never and hopefully will never have to live through anything like this.
Yeah, this is horrifying.
Yeah, it's like, I don't plan on becoming a drug dealer. I think that my life would have to take some very severe turns for that to be the case.
Walter.
Yeah. It makes you think about stuff like that in a different light as well. That, like,
this is an interesting little... Hold on. This is an interesting little piece of trivia I just wanted to bring up real quick, and then we'll get back to that point. And I wanted to bring this up while I'm reading it. Did you know the 3 actors who play Sharon never met?
Really?
Really. They're supposed to bring their own version of the character.
I believe it.
Because, I mean, like, when you think about it, 6-year-old me was not the same person as 16-year-old me was not the same person as 26-year-old me.
Right. Yeah, it's 3 completely different parts. It's 3 different people. Like, obviously it's 3 different actors, but it's 3 different people. They're named... The parts are named for their names.
Right.
Because when he's growing up, he's little. That's it. That's his whole identity. I don't entirely get the name, though. Like, I get why they called it Moonlight, but I don't know that I understand the significance of Juan telling him that story and then the final scene.
Yeah, I don't know.
There's a lot of things that I don't sort of understand. There's a lot of nuances that I tried to find and missed from this movie, and I would love to have a conversation with somebody who knows a little bit more about film and a lot more about Black people in America.
This is a powerful film, and if you watch this on our recommendation, would you have watched this without us recommending it? Would I have ever gotten around to this if we weren't covering it? I don't know.
I would have eventually.
There would definitely be an effort at some point for me to watch like all the Oscar winners, because I've not seen an embarrassing number of them.
This was one of the only Best Picture winners that I haven't seen.
Well, there you go. I can add it to the list.
I think that brings me up to almost all of them. Hang on. I can tell you real quick. All right, I know I haven't seen the first 2. 28 or 29. Yes.
Oh, man, this is an embarrassing experience. I've seen a lot of the 90s to 2010.
Okay. Man, Russell Crowe movies won back-to-back. I did not realize that. Okay. I have seen, now with Moonlight, I have seen all but 4 of them.
You missed the first two.
I don't remember what they're called at this point, but they're from the 20s. I have not seen either of them. And I have not seen Argo or The Shape of Water.
I've heard those are good.
I have as well.
I have not seen almost any of them. I've seen Moonlight, Birdman, No Country for Old Men, Return of the King, Beautiful Mind, Gladiator, Shakespeare in Love, Titanic, Braveheart, Forrest Gump, Schindler's List, Silence of the Lambs, Amadeus, Gandhi, Chariots of Fire, Rocky, My Fair Lady, West Side Story. Bridge on the River Kwai 1. Didn't know that.
Great movie. If you like war movies. It's not really a war movie.
I'm a big war movie guy.
It's my late father was a big war movie guy. I've seen most of the movies on this list at sort of just them being on in my house.
Okay, I listed all the ones I've seen.
But like if you watch Turner Classic Movies, they play every single one of these movies at least 3 times a year. Well, until like, the 90s. Anyway, yeah, this is the Best Picture winner. And this is a year I haven't seen a ton of the other nominees. I don't think I watched a lot of like air quote good movies that year.
It's films like this that do remind me how much I appreciate the type of cinema we normally cover on this show. I genuinely love this movie. There's no doubt about that. And I think there's definitely a place for watching films like this and being a part of films like this. And I think they're important. But I think for every one of these I watch, I honestly want to watch Ocean's 11 10 times.
10's a lot.
Maybe a lot. Maybe 5 times.
Yeah, I don't know. I like movies like this.
I just said I like movies like this.
I didn't say you didn't. I'm talking about me.
Okay.
Talking about me. I want to talk about me.
Welcome back to Beer from Our Horses, your number 1 Toby Keith fan cast.
No.
That song has some problematic ideas about what we would do with all these criminals in Miami. So,
yeah.
I don't even want to say it.
Yeah, I do. So, I don't even know. I had a point. I lost it. So this is not a movie. This is not a movie about being proud to be gay, the way Love, Simon was.
Yeah, no. Simon walks away at the end like, I get to reinvent my identity in college, and it's going to be okay because college is a happy liberal place.
But this is a movie that sort of informs the other side of the story, and I think that it is important for white people to watch it and learn something. I think it's important for straight people to watch it and like something or learn something. But it definitely does show you that like I said, Sharon might have been all right if he wasn't gay, but that was enough for even the other black people to think of him as an outsider.
Right. There was no community for him. There was
nowhere for him. And this is not something I know anything about or can explain or in any way comment on, but this is a thing that you hear about, that there is sort of like in some parts of the black culture that there can be like a cannibalistic nature, and you see a lot of people on the social internet especially talking about how, if black people want to get anything accomplished, then they need to stop fighting themselves. And that's a lot of what this movie is saying.
But it's like an endless cycle of violence, right?
Because it doesn't, it's not supposed to...
They didn't know anything about Kevin, but they were still making him commit
it's like
crimes.
there's no winner in this movie. Like, nobody gets away clean. Nobody has like a hero's ending.
Right.
Like, it sucks for Sharon. It sucks for Kevin. It sucks for the kid who got whacked by the chair. Like, nobody wins here.
Right.
And I don't have an answer. I don't know.
Well, I'm happy with leaving it there.
Yeah.
We'd love for you to join in on the conversation. If you want to share your comments on Moonlight, feel free to shoot us an email at baconandeggsmedia@gmail.com. If you want it to be a little bit more private, or you can tweet at us at baconandeggs.pod, tweet at Americ Carlin, or tweet at Bacon and Ethan if you have something specific about something we said. I firmly believe that we may have said something uninformed, that we are seeking education on.
For sure.
I don't want to pretend for a second that I'm the end all be all on these thoughts, and I don't think that I said anything particularly out of line, but if I did say something, I'd rather be educated.
I definitely feel like I learned part of what this movie was asking of me. I don't feel like I got the whole thing, but I do definitely feel like I got part of it. I definitely feel like at the end of it, I walked away having learned something I probably should have already known.
Yeah.
But this is a heavy movie, but this is a very, very good movie.
Agreed.
And man, if you want to talk about, I know you love to talk about this, but if you want to talk about camera as a character.
Cool. Did you notice most of the film was shot from Child Sharon's
like behind somebody's head, or like through their eyes?
Either through their eyes or literally like at eye level with Child Sharon.
Yeah.
Like a lot of teenage Sharon is shot looking up at the characters.
Because teenage Sharon never really grew up.
Right.
If he had, he probably would have, realized where it was going to end when he smacked some dude over the head with a chair.
I don't think there was any stopping that from happening.
No, but that's what I'm saying, is that's the system that broke him.
Right.
If he'd ever been given a chance, that wouldn't have happened.
Right.
So yeah, I would love to continue the conversation, and that goes for anybody. This is not our normal thing that we do here on Bacon and Eggs. There were like no explosions in this movie.
Not one. I thought for sure that car, when it lasted that long, was going to be a Transformer.
Maybe this is a prequel to Bumblebee.
You see just John Cena in the background there for a second. You're like, was that John Cena? Was that?
Yeah, this is like John Cena's cop days before he joins his military.
Right. He just shows up just real brief, totally normal.
Like a routine drug bust.
Right. No comedy to it. Just, all right, boys, we know what you're doing. Click, click. You're getting in the back of the vehicle.
Well, let's go ahead and wrap up.
Yeah. So we got to rank this on the big board. And this is so different than everything we've reviewed this year. That's going to be challenging. But before we get to the wrap up, this episode is brought to you by our patron and good friend, Jess, aka Story Diver, and she has a message she would like to share with the world.
She would. She has asked us to say, where is it? Hang on. I just had it and then my service closed. She has asked us to say, being positive doesn't equate to being happy all the time. Being positive is knowing that the hard times you're in will end and that you will be happy again. Love, Jess.
Love
so
that,
she just
Jess.
wanted everybody to know that. If you have something you would like to let us know, or you'd like to let everybody else know through us, or you would like to talk to some specific person, or you'd like to push or promote something that you have, you can do that now. We have a tier on Discord not tier on Discord. We have a tier on Patreon just for you. It's the $15 a month level. We will put you in our sponsor message rotation. Every time your name comes up, we're going to say something that you want us to say. It could pretty much be whatever you want. We do reserve the right to, say no.
They can be ridiculous.
They can be ridiculous, but, don't be weird or offensive. Just be cool.
You can be weird, you can't be offensive.
Well, weird was like a stand-in there for, things that would make you, physically uncomfortable.
Yeah, but you can be weird.
Yeah, it can be strange.
In fact, I encourage the strange. Our next week's sponsorship message, you're going to get strange.
Fair. Anyway,
I know you. You're
Go to
strange.
discord.com/baconandeggs. $15 a month. You can join the sponsorship tier. We will read a message from you with our own voices.
Their own face mouths.
Our own mouth holes, which is an uncomfortable term.
I got mouth holes. I got nose holes. I got eye
horses
holes.
in the back.
I got my horses in the back. Like Cicero.
No.
All right, Ethan. I'm not starting from the bottom here. I'm starting from, there's more than 10 movies here, but what's currently ranked 10? Is it better than Ocean's 11?
Yeah.
Get Out.
Right. Okay.
The movie. The movie Get Out.
That took me a second. I was like, is it better than Ocean's 11? Yes. Get Out. I was like, oh, well.
But, it is.
It is, though.
Okay. Dark Knight Rises. Toy Story 2. Interstellar.
Yes.
How to Train Your Dragon 3. Toy Story 3.
Yeah.
Us.
Yeah.
Captain Marvel.
Yeah, and I think that's where I'm going to leave it.
Not better than Jurassic Park?
I mean, it's important in a different way.
Listen, this is literally like comparing.
This is
which one's
the
a better.
dumbest conversation
this is like
we've ever
comparing, had. Right. Which is a better pair of shoes, the moon or the ocean?
Right.
That's
not even that. It's just like, which is a better pair of shoes? Some really nice dress loafers or some like functional sneakers. Right. Like you're not allowed to wear one to work.
Right. But you're also not allowed to wear one to the basketball
Right.
court.
Like one of them's for comfort and fun, and one of them's for discomfort and learning.
I still think the moon and the ocean thing. Wabaki. I do think we have Avengers Endgame at number 1 right now, but Tokyo Drift might be better. Just standard fish out of water story. How many fish did you even see in water in Avengers Endgame? There was a maybe reference to Namor, but that's it.
I do want to cover more of this type of movie. Not every week, but like I'd like to talk about some cinema from time to time.
Cinema. We have another one on this list that we have three others on this list that are cinema. And there's one that sort of flirts with cinema. The Hunger Games is on here twice.
What are our other ones on the list that you would qualify in the same category?
Get Out and Us and Interstellar. Although there are explosions in Interstellar.
Yeah, but like
National Treasure?
No. At some point, I want to cover Birdman.
Okay, Ethan, I'm not against you.
I'm just saying. I'm not saying you're against me. Quit getting defensive.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
Oh my God, this movie has a great spoonerism. Moonlight is a tragic tale about a African-American man growing up in Miami and dealing with the fact that he's gay. But Loon Might is about the power of the mighty loon, the most powerful songbird in all the land.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Bacon and Eggs. I've been
Power is strong enough to destroy
Carlin,
men.
and until next week, shut the Fortnite up about the loon.
Loon, but that's what loons sound like. It's a very bad impression, but that's a loon.
You're a loon.
The mighty loon. You're a loon. The mighty loon has come to destroy you and soothe you to sleep. Eternal sleep.
Shut up about the sun!
Because the mighty loon destroyed you. Who's talking about the sun?
Oh, it's there's an episode of The Office. There's a late stage episode where Andy won't shut up about the sun, and they're in a meeting, and Andy's talking about the sun, and Gabe just like pounds his fists on the desk and is like, "Shut up about the sun!" But somebody made it into like a death metal song, and that was what I thought of. I don't know why.
The mighty loon has come to destroy
us all. What is this
all
from?
with soothing. What do you mean? This is what this is the bit.
You just keep saying, the mighty loon has come to destroy us all.
Yes, the loon might.
Are you quoting something?
Loon.
Like, is this a reference I'm supposed to get?
It's the spoonerism from Moonlight.
No, I get that, but like you've said, the mighty loon has come to destroy us all, like 6 times now.
No, it's just the mighty loon. He is here.
You sound like Jay right now.
And he
when
will
you do that voice,
you.
that's your Jay voice.
Oh,
hey,
God.
brother.
Hey, brother. The mighty loon has come to destroy us all. Fear the mighty loon.
It sounds like you're naming a Pokemon. Like
I could name a Pokemon the mighty loon. I'd have to do a Nuzlocke, but there's no demand for that. I wonder if anybody wants me to do a Nuzlocke.
There's demand for that, Tyler. Stop
I wonder
doing
if
that
anybody
thing.
wants me to do
Stop
a
doing the
Nuzlocke.
thing.
I haven't
Stop
gotten any.
doing the thing.
I just wish somebody would tweet at me and say, "Hey Ty, it would be kind of cool if you did a Nuzlocke."
I hate this so much.
It'd be kind of cool if you did a Nuzlocke and you named one of the Pokemon the Mighty Loon. I think that would be really interesting Nuzlocke video, and I would cry when the Mighty Loon died. Or maybe I would celebrate. Rest in peace, Hawlucha. I saw you wipe a tear away just now.
I'm sweating.
You think about the death of the mighty loon?
I'm sweating. My eyes are itching. I have sweat in my eyes.
Yeah, you're just sweating into your eyes. Yeah, that's called crying, Ethan.
On May 16th, 2019, one of our mods, Pixel, said, "Please do a Nuzlocke. Thanks. Tongue sticky outy face in Discord," and it was a retweet emoji 3 times, and you said maybe it won't be as pretty as Jay's, and y'all will resent me for it. And then Woozle says,
the above is true.
And then
you make comments like, your voice does sound like Jay's. You're just like Jay.
I'm just gonna delete your audio because I don't care what you have to say right now. I'm not done talking. Woozle says, "No, we won't. It'll be fun!" ! And I said, "I can help."
Yeah, and then just now you were like, your voices sound just like Jay's. So clearly I already know what the comments are going to be. Can't do my own voices.
Or you could just do your own voices instead of going, "The mighty loon."
The mighty loon will destroy you all. I'm ready for the mighty loon. I've never been more excited about a loon. I think the mighty loon is a Geodude. That's the thing.
Why would the mighty loon be a Geodude?
It's a Nuzlocke. There's no guarantee I'm gonna catch a loon type Pokemon. Is there even a loon Pokemon?
Yes, that's the new type. It's right between flying and grass. It's loon type.
You know what? You're laughing at me, but Drifloon is literally loon type. as well as Swadloon. Well, it's a leaf-wrapped Pokemon.
That is a
Ash even
cloud
has a
with gray
Swadloon.
Donald Trump hair. There's a balloon with gray Donald Trump
Yes,
hair.
it is. It is a balloon with a cloud
It is
for
not
hair.
loon type, that's balloon type.
Oh, balloon type. The mighty balloon!
Mighty balloon, come to kill us all!
Dropping bombs from its mighty balloon terrace.
Folks, are you still listening, or did you stop listening when I said I've been Ethan and he's been Tyler? If you're still listening, I don't know, there's no, direct, comment thing.
Follow us on things. Follow Story Diver on things because we love Jess. And wasn't her episode so great? Listen this upcoming weekend as Bacon and Eggs takes on Perspective Z in the mashup of the century. The most ambitious crossover event this side of the Mississippi. I think halfway.
MISSISSIPPI.
All the way?
I could spell it too.
Is it both of are all of us on this side of the Mississippi?
I have no earthly idea where Iowa is. Iowa.
I think that's on the other side.
Iowa. Where are the Moines? Des Moines.
Des Moines.
Yeah. Des Moines is on the other side of the Mississippi.
Okay, so this almost the most ambitious crossover event this side of the Mississippi because we are crossing over the Mississippi to cross over with Perspective Z to bring you Perspective Y, your second favorite generational podcast that only has one episode and only 2 of 3 hosts are millennials.
Perspective Z.
Perspective.
I'll figure out. You know what? When I edit it, when you ever upload the audio, I will figure out what to title it.
You know what's funny is I walked into my office today and I looked at my computer and I was like, I wonder what file I'm supposed to be uploading right here because upload a file thing was there.
Well, it was that one. Oh, I opened my phone and I
it's
have a group
uploading
text
now.
from my band, and it's just Simba with pecs and a butt. Actually, this is
nice.
You have to look at this cursed image. I'm sending this to you. We have gone so far. We stayed on the rails for a surprisingly long time this episode, and now we have lost it entirely. We are more lost than we've ever been. We just spent 5
this is
minutes talking about loons.
I never needed to see
Yes,
this.
you did. Anyway, follow me on Twitter and Instagram. I'm at Bacon and Ethan on Instagram and at Wow Now with the zeros on Twitter. Tyler is at Carlin. That's America RLIN on Twitter and Instagram. And we're at Bacon and Eggs Pod on Twitter and Instagram. If you want to get at us, you can get at us on Discord for $3 a month, the price of 1 Lego coffee per year. Only $36. That's a great price.
That is a great price because there's a lot of genuinely nice people in there and also Ethan and
so
I.
join Discord. You can go to patreon.com/Bacon and Eggs. And you can also, while you're there, get a sponsor message. Yeah. Anyway, our graphics are by Vaishon. He is Vaishon Brandon. He is on Instagram at graphite.vmb. And our music is by the lovely Andrew Scott Bell. And he's on Twitter and Instagram at Andrew Scott Bell Music. Nope, just Andrew Scott Bell. AndrewScottBellMusic.com. I've been Ethan Chill. He's been Tyler Carlin. Until next week, arrivederci.
All right, water for me and a little gin for you.